Hello and welcome to the Liberian TV network. Today we are going Cruiserville where they have a rock crusher and we learned that they have air pollution there. So we'll be taking there for us to see for ourselves if that is actually true and also talk to some of the people that stays there. We got at Cruiserville, they told us that the rock crusher that was there were relocated. So we came to Harrisburg. Harrisburg is where the rock crusher is. And the crusher that we are actually going to today is called ZNC Investment Company. And if you notice around here, we don't have much horses. I think they are just few. Because of the way the place is already polluted. Now, where you seeing the trucks parking up there, that's their main office. And you're seeing this other one already coming up with a load. This is how dusty the road can be. So just imagine you on this road every day. And that is where they store their rock. When they get it from where they crushing it, they bring it here. So it's not that far from here. We'll also get you a view of that area for you to see.
My name is Frank Kennedy Sirleaf, administrator of the estate of Frank Kennedy Sirleaf Sr. in Harrisburg, Montserrado County. We own 2 acres of land there. It's our farm. Our home is there, and our crops are there. For 12 years, my family has been having issues with a Chinese Rock Quarry Company, ZNC Investment Company. They've been operating in Harrisburg, very close to our property, for 12 years without any agreement with the family. The quarry work entails dust and noise. Today, presently, our home is cracked. You cannot even go on the land to sit on the land because of the dust. They've devalued our property because of the quarry work. My nieces and nephews are coming down with cold because of the dust. Every attempt to get ZNC mining company to book, to sit down and talk about this has failed. Presently, the case is before the Senate, the House Committee, the House Committee on Environment, Sanitation, and Hygiene. And that was sparked by a report from Daylight News. Daylight News is an investigative environmental news agency, and they're online. I think they have hard copies too. And so they did a report and they did an interview with my family members. And it was that report that the representative, the chairperson, Anthony F. Williams, who is the chair of Maryland County, was able to see and call the ZNC. Last week, there should have been a meeting with the ZNC after I forged a formal complaint to the House Committee on Water, Sanitation, and Environment, Hygiene. I have yet to hear how far they've gone with this case. I've gone as far as EPA. In February, I addressed the EPA with my concerns. At the time, the executive director was Prof. Wilson Tapper. Before they could conclude the hearing, Wilson Tapper was replaced. And after a week of Emmanuel Ure, I received a response to my complaint, which wasn't favorable. I share copies with the media. You should have copies of the complaint. And what is sketchy to me is what they wrote in the complaint. A particular area in the complaint, in the response, talked about relocation and allocation of funds because I have my aunt on the property. And they talk about two separate payments of $3,500 annually for a period of 10 years. And what I don't understand, because my aunt told me that she received probably maybe over $7,000, maybe, I don't know. But that money she received that money to be relocated as an individual. But I don't believe that gave Z&C any rights to our property. My aunt would be considered a squatter because she didn't own the property. And we own the property. We have rights to the property. And I've made all that clear to Z&C Corporation. And they still maintain, the EPA maintain that Z&C was in the right standing because they relocated my aunt. So my question here is, what happens to our property if she's relocated and because she's not there, but she's there now because my sister is her daughter, and my sister is taking care of the property. So this woman who was relocated still lives on the property, and she's right next to the company. And so I do not understand. I cannot find a way out. It's a way out I'm trying to find. That's why I'm speaking to the media.
So if I may ask, your aunt is part of your property, and she went into an agreement, maybe documentally or undocumentedly, to have received some money for relocation.
Yeah.
So what's your agitation point that you're talking about the properties?
Okay,
Why your aunt went into an agreement, maybe verbally or written document, to have a what's your disappointment? What are you saying about the property, and what is happening to the property that's keeping you uncomfortable?
So my agitation is this: an amount for relocation, I think, is specific to an individual and not a piece of land or property. Most especially a property that has building on it and people are living in it. I believe, I do not know the laws, the housing laws and all that, but I believe that if in order to have access to a piece of property, you need to talk to the owners, those who have legitimate rights to the property. If you spoke to somebody who is a squatter on a piece of property and you decide to use that property, I think you will be in violations of the law.
So before going into it, let me just get something clear. Are you trying to say the money that was given to your aunt, she received the money illegally?
She received the money legally.
Illegally?
Legally.
Or legally?
She received the money legally based on the fact that, as she explained, what Z&C should have done the impact assessment in the community, make sure that they were in good standing with the people in the community. What they decided to do is they decided to start their operation without making sure that they had access to that land, because actually they are using the land. If stuff from your land spills over to my land.
Okay, again, you say Z&C is using your land. And you never went into direct agreement with them to lease your land.
Sure.
But rather, your neighbor land was leased to Z&C.
Yeah.
And then in this case, what have been some of the follow-up you've been making to make sure that the land they are using illegally must be used legally, built on the agreement between the family of Sally family and that of Z&C? Have you made any effort to speak up to them?
As I stated to you, this started in 2012. 2012, I wasn't here. I was in the U.S., another well man. And so that has made me disabled. I'm permanently disabled. And so I spoke with them from the U.S. for us to get into an agreement. That never happened. That was 2012. For 2 years, I spoke to them from away. For 2 years, they were operating when I came and I met them. Now, my aunt was on the property when they started operating. They did not give her money for relocation before operation, which I think they should have settled her to leave before they started operating. She complained of the dust, so they already started violating our space.
Okay, we still need to do some follow-up. I want to get clear, something very clear for our public view.
Sure.
You are raising 2 points.
Yeah.
One, about your property being polluted.
Sure.
Secondly, ZNC is using your property illegally. It means they are using piece of your land that you never went into any agreement to give them to use. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, if I share a piece of property with another property and the trees that are on that land falls on my land, it is the responsibility of the next property to remove the tree from on my land. If dust from the other places that they're leasing comes to my land, meaning they are using my land as a spillover for their dust.
For their operation.
For their operation.
So what do you intend to see in this entire wrangling and tussling and what defending and attacking or not counter-attacking? What do you really expect to see? What do you want to get into with ZNC, making sure that you are satisfied why your property is right by the operational side?
I think what we want to see happen here, what my family want to see happen here is justice. Our property has been polluted. There is damage
and pollution
to our property. We used to grow crops on that land. We don't grow crops no more because of the effect of ZNC. We've lost the value to our land. The ZNC needs to be held responsible for damage to our property, and if they will continue to use our property, then we have to sit down and go into an agreement. So it's the damage first, and then an agreement for them to have access to our property, because I have to relocate my family. So that is my contention. They don't have rights.
Last time we spoke with you on the phone, you raised a concern.
Yeah.
That money was given to your aunt 2 times. Even though they have been occupying the place for 12 years for relocation.
Sure.
And the money was paid annually, which is 3,000. And for the 12 years, they have paid 2 times. Right? 2 times is 3,000, 2 years payment. So the balance 10 years. Are you concerned to go after, maybe to be able to get back the 10 years or?
Well, this money we're talking about is relocation money. It's in the lease money, and it is not for me. That money is relocation money according to the company to relocate people who are affected by their operations. Obviously, if you're relocating me from my property, my land that I own, obviously you're going to be leasing my land, because I will not leave.
So you are calling on them to lease your land
and pay for damage first.
Pay for damage
first,
and then lease your land if they want to continue their operation.
Sure.
Right close to your land.
Because they are legally.
How far is your land from their operation?
We're less than 12 meters away from them, and we should be 500 meters away.
Less than 12 meters.
We're less
than you
12
live in the confirm of their operational site.
We are at the epicenter of the site. And besides that, as I said, Harrisburg means a lot to me. Harrisburg is my entire memory, childhood memory. My parents are buried on that land that I'm speaking of right now. Every day, their graves are there. I have 3 graves there. Dust is all over my parents. Every day. Every day. They didn't ask for that. They asked for a place that they would rest. Rest in peace. And this isn't the rest in peace.
Resting in noise and dust.
Yes. I think the place that they should be resting in peace has been violated. And somebody needs to answer for that.
So what do you want to achieve in the entire fight? In making sure that your damaged property is paid for? What do you really want to achieve?
As I stated before, the first thing is damaged. The first thing is damage, because what is going to happen to the land when ZNC leaves? I've done studies myself on the effect of quarries. Quarry leave behind sediments you call silica, and silica is poisonous. It enters the soil and it makes the soil hard. The soil will not be able to yield. I planted cassava on that land and no yield. You went on the land, you see fruits in the trees. It gets rotten in the trees before it even gets ripe, because of all the chemicals that they're using around there. Nobody can live down there. Nobody should live close to a quarry. But this is our dilemma.